What's going on, girls and gays? Welcome back, Music Corner. As always, I'm your host, hashtag Femboy Friday. Find your nearest twink and give them a hug and tell them that it's from me. I need a script for these videos because I end up just talking about femboys. Today we're doing a big one, probably the biggest and the longest video that I'll put out this year, and one that I spent a lot of time working on and trying to get right. That is, of course, the top 50 songs of 2012, part of a decade-long retrospective I've been doing on the various years of the 2010s, looking back on them, a full decade retrospective. And yeah, I've been talking about this list a lot at the end of other videos that I've been making, mostly because it's just been something I've been working on in the background since I finished the albums list back in March. That was one of the easier lists I've done for this retrospective. This was one of the harder ones. I made a lot of difficult cuts, and just getting the order right, the difference between a lot of these songs, in my opinion, is razor thin. And if you ask me tomorrow, I might have a different order on some of these, in particular, some of these sections of songs that I think are very, very similarly good. But today, right now, shoot time. Got him how I got him, so let's not waste any more time talking about femboys. As is almost always the case with these lists, there's one song on the list proper that is not available on streaming services, so I go in and throw an extra honorable mention, that being this LP song, whose title I didn't really want to say anyway, so I'm glad it ended up here. Number 50, such a strange overlay from the time that it came out, and someone whose career has gone so many strange places in the decade since. Jake Bugg with one of the best singles from his self-titled debut, which got quite a bit of attention at the time, the song Lightning Bolt. And at number 49, Animal Collective from their mediocre kind of album Centipede Hurts. They did manage to drop one of the best songs of their whole jittery post-MPP era before they took a turn into, you know, more ambient and soundtrack stuff, that song being Today's Supernatural at number 49. And at 48, a very silly, playful, fun collaboration from two wonderful and talented musical auteurs. We see David Byrne, obviously of Talking Heads fame, teaming up with St. Vincent on their collaborative song, Who. And at number 47, Carly Ray Jepson gets a decade of bops, started with the excellent song This Kiss, followed by number 46, where we've got the XX, who their sophomore album is not seen by many as that good or necessarily as good as their other two. I'm totally in agreement with that. It missed my albums list, but I do have to say that the song Angels is still one of their best and place it here on the list. At number 45, one of the more enigmatic pop groups to debut around this time, Purity Ring, with my personal favorite of their songs, the track Lofty Cries, a great, stormy, kind of dark pop song that I've always loved, but I've come around to even more in recent years. And in hard contrast, at number 44, fitting, because the Mars Volta just released their first new album in 10 years, we've got a track from their previous album, which I'm not crazy about, but I do love the song Zed and Two Knots quite a bit. Putting it here because it just has that invigorating rush, that thrill ride that the best Mars Volta songs do. At number 43, it's Jessie Ware, who, before she was a disco queen, was a pop star that was often described as very mature, very dramatic, occasionally quite reserved, but this is one of the tracks where she lets loose at least a little bit more than her average song. The single Wildest Moments, one that I really, really enjoy. And at number 42, a song that a lot of people cite as one of the best of 2012, and it is quite good. It certainly belongs on this list, the Fiona Apple song Every Single Night. It's no secret that I'm not as crazy about Idler Wheel as some of my other favorite Fiona Apple projects, nor as most general music fans are, because they tend to eat this thing up. But all things considered, I think that Every Single Night is easily its best song, one of the better songs of her whole career, and genuinely just a really, really enjoyable piece of music. Now, unlike years past, where some of the best songs of the year have been some of the year's biggest hits, I can't say that exactly for this list. It is certainly not full of unpopular songs, particularly among music fans. You should recognize most of them if you're even watching a video like this. But in terms of the big hits, the chart toppers, the radio smash singles, it wasn't really an all-out year, though, I will say. At number 41, I have to give credit to Passion Pit with Take a Walk, a song that is so catchy you don't think about the lyrics, but you should. That was a dumb idea, I shouldn't have done that. But seriously, check this Passion Pit song out if you have somehow never heard it, because it's really good. The Same Things Keep Happening to Me All the Time is the title of the teen suicide song that comes in at number 40 on the list. A extremely lo-fi but still very passionate ballad of malaise and sort of wanderlust that I think is very emotionally impactful and very well done. Number 39, a name we have talked about on these lists before and will continue to talk about for the better part of the rest of the decade. Julia Holter with not the first, but one of the biggest at this point in her career singles and songs to get a lot of attention and acclaim. The track In the Same Room, which I absolutely recommend if you're a fan of any Julia Holter stuff that came after this. Number 38 sees Melody's Echo Chamber pinning the somehow like banger I Follow You. This thing is a bit of a fusion between shoegazy heavy sounds and the kind of blissed out dream pop of like a Cocteau Twins that is so in vogue right now here in 2022. And yeah, it does a great job at being both heavy but also beautiful. It feels very nostalgic but also still 10 years out, very contemporary. As a credit to these sounds and how they've transcended popular culture and evolved with it, I think the song fucking rules. 37. It's funny how many artists that are relevant right now, teen suicide, Mars Volta, Spiritualized, keep coming up. Spiritualized just released their new album this year, and 10 years ago they released Hey Jane, a great song that embodies all of their circular styles of songwriting where instrumentations just build and build and build, refrains loop, come back around, reinvigorated, re-energized. It is a long but incredibly worthwhile journey to take with this song. Highly recommended. Number 36 comes to us by way of Mac DeMarco with his song Ode to Viceroy, a track that I really love. Not as crazy about this album as I am Mac's next two projects, which is an unpopular opinion, I know, but I think you get a hint at the true levels of psychedelic indie stoner malaise that are to come on a song like Ode to Viceroy, and you also get a spoonful of Mac's personality with the like yelpy kind of howling that he does on the back end of this thing. It's a very infectious song, a very undeniably fun song that I quite enjoy. And speaking of undeniably fun, Father John Misty keeps it out of politics with Hollywood Forever Cemetery Sings at number 35, a great, funny, tongue-in-cheek song that really only Josh Tillman could have written, really only Josh Tillman could perform. Like, the opening refrain to this song is just so funny, and I can't even imagine it coming out of anybody else's brain. And at number 34, one of the hard groovingest, danciest, most vibrant, and most fun songs of the entire year, tonight's Higher Ground. Seriously, I don't even just know what to do with myself when this song comes on. It just fills you with just this energy that is just, when your one fucking job is literally to like translate sounds and experiencing them into words, and all you can come up with is, maybe I should find a new job. In the meantime, 33, Panopticon with Bodies Under the Fall, one of their many long, wandering black metal meets Appalachia folk fusions. This thing is compositionally dynamic. The two styles complement each other extremely well, and the results are a song that just fucking rips. And at number 32, one of the most insanely experimental and out of left field songs of the year from one album that is certainly divisive. Scott Walker's Bish Bosh. Not crazy about this album, but certainly it has some moments that just blow me away, and See You Don't Bump His Head is absolutely one of them. At number 31, once again, you knew we'd have to talk about her. The girl Farrah Abraham with what I guess I would call the centerpiece to her accidentally experimental dubstep pop proto hyperpop masterpiece. The song The Phone Call That Changed My Life, which is sort of the crux of the whole pregnancy, my teenage dream ended like 16 and pregnant narrative that she has going on here. There's a lot of lore within the Farrah universe, but it's really not going to help you with this song, because if you're hearing it for the first time, I really do think you're going to hate it, but boy do I not hate it. Boy do I love it, and really love it, and strongly contemplated moving it higher on this list, but I don't like backlash, and I don't handle it very well. Number 30, we're getting shoegazy again, a ongoing theme of the list that will not stop anytime soon, with the Dive song Doused, a very, what I would call heavy but still quite sonically reserved take on the shoegaze sound, which was common around this time. They are not turning up the amps to blow this song away, but all of the layers are still there. They're still really intact, and everything that I like about this band's debut album is present on this song. Inside the top 30, at number 29, we have Dirty Projectors with Gun Has No Trigger. I talked about in the last video how I'm not as crazy about this album as a lot of people are. I still really like it, and it still made the cut, but this one particular song just really knocks my socks off, really blows me away. It has all of those very unique David Longstrethian eccentricities that you hope to see in a Dirty Projector song. The strange, morphed refrains warping in and out of each other, and that hook is just excellent. At number 28, Waxahachie with the song that made me a fan of Katie, the track Be Good, a very stripped down, very raw folk cut, but one that I absolutely adore, with melodies that are just so sweet. I love the lyrics and the story to this track quite a bit. If indie folk is your kind of thing, if you like the new Waxahachie stuff and have never gone back this far, Be Good is a great place to start. At 27, another artist who's strangely relevant right now, again, having just released his first new single in ages, Ab-Soul, the song Terrorist Threats, featuring Danny Brown. This is just what I would call a sprint of a song. It's a sprint of a song, and every step of the way it gets crazier and more insane and unpredictable. I love the hook to this thing. I love the way that Ab-Soul tries to one-up himself, and then Danny Brown comes in and tries to one-up the craziness of the entire song. I love the whole narrative of how all of the gangs could come together and overpower the government, which is badass, especially coming out of Ab-Soul and Danny Brown's mouths in 2012. This song is just a total banger, and I cannot get enough of it. At number 26, Bat for Lashes with Laura, a song that I would really consider to be like the peak of a great moment of evolution and continued success that Bat for Lashes was on to start off her career. We get to this point, this very triumphant, very soaring ballad that I just love to death, and that's it. You just listen to it and you enjoy it and you marvel at how talented Bat for Lashes is. Number 25, it's a bit of a downer, halfway point on the list, Sun Kill Moon with Among the Leaves. We've talked about Mark Kozlek before in this series, and we're going to be doing it a lot going forward, every single year as we go through the rest of the 2010s. And yes, I believe that Mark Kozlek is a dick. Before we even knew all of the terrible sexual harassment stuff, he was also just kind of an asshole. And that was something that you had to deal with when you listened to his music, but unfortunately, I had heard all of these songs, fallen in love with them, and understood their majesty before we knew just how much the extent of his shittiness was. And given that it's my job to consider what the best music really is. It would be stupid of me to leave this off, as we'll see in 2013 and 2014 and 2016 and 2017 and 2019. Okay, at number 24, a palate cleanser of sorts from the girl, Kitty. Yes, that Kitty with Okcupid. In this era, Kitty was receiving quite a bit of what I would call unnecessary hate from the predominantly male fan base of hip-hop, who saw her parody raps as a bastardization of, I don't know, whoever they liked at the time, Hopsin. But what she was doing was a lot more fun and charming than a lot of people realized, and I think in the TikTok era, in the personality era of independent music, and also in the creatively honest and empowering stance that so many women take in hip-hop these days, it would be a good time for Kitty to dip her toes back into rap if she really wanted to. But she seems like she's fine doing synth pop and collaborating with Sam on stuff. All of that being set up just to get to the point where we can talk about Okcupid, a song that I adore for its playfulness, for the shy girl next door-ish demeanor that Kitty delivers on it, for its absolutely unforgettable hook that I have had stuck in my head for literally 10 years since it came out, and just for the silliness of it all. It's clearly done so loose and fast, with the intro and outro vocal samples, with the second half of the second verse just being Kitty singing Frank Ocean's Thinking About You. If you're the type of person who takes music serious as fuck, you're going to hate this. But if you have any level of fun and any kind of enjoyable personality about yourself, check out this Kitty song, because it's awesome. 23. Indie breakout hit song of the year, Alt J with Breeze Blocks. Yes, maybe this thing is a little bit played out. Maybe it's a little bit too universally known and acclaimed at this point, but I still love the damn thing. Especially as Alt J continues to return and deliver decent, passable versions of their now very trademark sound without really ever reaching the high points that are pretty prevalent on this first record. It just makes Breeze Blocks look better and better and better in retrospect. Everything that is the uniquely synthesized sound of Alt J, from the layering to the percussion to the very unique vocal stylings, it's done so well on here. This really is the perfect Alt J song. 22, the other half of Run the Jewels, given that we gave LP an honorable mention earlier, with the album that a lot of people tend to call Run the Jewels .5, Killer Mike's rap music, which features all kinds of different music. A lot of people really love the hard-hitting southern rap bangers, but personally my favorite, and I know a lot of people's favorite, is the song Reagan, which is a takedown of Reagan's time as president, all of the terrible fucking harassment and bullshit and drug war shit and Iran-Contra scandals that he put black Americans and poor Americans through, and Killer Mike just takes him to fucking task. It is just so satisfying to hear Killer Mike with his incredible pen game and lethal vocal intensity rattle off one reason after another why we should all be glad that Reagan's fucking dead. And at number 21, Joey Badass teaming up with the late Capital C's on the excellent song Survival Tactics, kind of Joey Badass's breakout song on a highly acclaimed debut mixtape. And if you've never heard this song, if you heard Joey's recent album where he has the song Survivor's Guilt, in which the first verse is about Capital Steez and kind of there's the parallels and the whole Survivors track in the title, this is what he is referencing. And just one listen to this thing, it should tell you exactly why it was so cool, so unique, so enigmatic to see rappers this young, firing off this hard, being this talented. Like, it just rules. It's an absolutely great piece of New York hip-hop that you should not go without. Number 20, Burial with Kindred. We are well past the albums portion of the Burial discography doing these retrospectives, but we are in the thick of the EP and singles portion of his career, and Kindred is one of the best ones. Love the whole EP. Every track on it's great. It's really even hard to pick which one to go on here, but because of a few specific passages within the long runtime of the title track, I just have to give it here. It's such a good song, so many great sequences, so many great sounds. Burial does the stuff unlike anybody else can. Number 19, Perfume Genius with Hood. What a sad fucking song. What a depressing goddamn song. Like, for a track that can trick you with how bright it may sound at first with the aesthetics it deploys, goddamn is this thing a heartbreaker, and it's not the last time that Perfume Genius will do this to us on this journey that we're going on. It's really proof that Mike Hadrius is amazing, and going forward with these retrospectives, we're about to see him take a couple of huge leaps to become one of the best, one of the definitive pop artists of the decade. This is just a step on his journey, but it is a great step and not one worth being overlooked. Hood, check it out. It's beautiful. It's amazing. Listen to it. Number 18, another breakout single, though I don't know if it's still the song that Sky Ferreira is most associated with, but Everything is Embarrassing from her Ghost EP is certainly the first song that comes to mind when I think of Sky. Even as she's back in tow now, and you know, maybe her shows aren't getting the best reviews in the world, one thing that has aged really well is the music itself, and we'll talk about it next year too. But she just really came in with a lot of talent, a lot of potential, and all of that is on display, particularly with a very interesting and unique set of sounds alongside her on this track. Everything is Embarrassing. If for some reason you've never heard this EP, or you got into music after Sky debuted and this is just a name you've always heard in the abstract but don't really have your own era to associate with it, check this out, because it's really good and it's really worth it, and it's one of the best pop songs of 2012 for sure. 17 is the song that you will not find on streaming services. It is a corporate-driven collaboration between Andre 3000 of Outkast fame, Gorillaz, Damon Albarn, and James Murphy of LCD Soundsystem, called Do Ya Thing, and it is crazy. If you seek this song out, I implore you to listen to the full version of it, because the shortened version of it features some of what makes it great, but it's really the insane full-length runtime of this song, which starts out genuinely as a simple and rewarding fusion of the styles of Damon Albarn and James Murphy, with a great hook, a fun, infectious energy. The two sound great together, but Andre 3000 comes in and just changes this song. It's just never the same from the first time you hear his voice, and he goes on a more structured series of refrains and then just starts freestyling and riffing and going on and on and on for like 8 minutes, and it's crazy. However crazy you think it is, it's even crazier. And for a song that you would think would get redundant as it goes on, it is a testament to the energy of the people who assembled this music. And at number 16, I know that this is going to warrant a sigh from a lot of people, because it comes from a point in the Killers catalog, specifically the record Battleborn, which many fans see as their weakest, and I totally agree. This is definitely the worst album they've ever put out, but it does contain one of their best songs, and yes, it's a little bit pastiche, it's a little bit cliche, it's a lot Springsteen, but the heartland rock ballad Runaways is just so life-affirming, so invigorating. I don't even know what to say. I've heard so many songs that, in the exact same way as Runaways does, try to mimic the righteous heartland rock of the Springsteen era, and they often do a decent job at it, but this is one of the only songs I've heard from the 2010s that really, really manifests and captures that energy perfectly. And honest to God, I think it does it better than anything on the Killers' sophomore album, Sam's Town. So all of that being said, you need a palate for rock and roll that can tolerate something that is a little bit corny at points, but if you have that, this is one of the most, like I said, righteous and life-affirming pieces of rock music you'll hear this year. Number 15, Suzanne Sunfor with White Foxes, an artist who I mentioned repeatedly that we will be talking about again and again throughout this decade. This might be my favorite Suzanne Sunfor song ever, honestly. It is that same fusion of classical instrumentation with the sounds of contemporary electronic instrumentation, but it is really just her incredible hooks, amazing vocals that make this song soar, that make it fly, and that make it completely irresistible to my ears. At number 14, it is The Tallest Man on Earth with 1904, a wonderful folk ballad that is really taken over by the vocals. Though the refrains are great and the simple guitar instrumentation is perfect to match them, and I also think that the story and lyricism isn't half bad. This is a song where the vocals take the cake, steal the show. They're amazing and kind of what makes this one of my favorite Tallest Men on Earth songs to this day, really. At number 13, the finale. We didn't know it at the time, but the definitive conclusion to an incredibly influential moment in time for Odd Future, the song Oldie. Yes, Tyler, Frank, Earl, Left Brain, Domogenesis, Haji, everybody comes together on this song to what they didn't, and I don't think we did at the time, know was sort of a goodbye to Odd Future, and given the cultural preservation of Odd Future as a brand predominantly through the big three artists who it spawned, it's kind of amazing and kind of great looking back in time at a song like this that just got everything ended and wrapped up in such a nice bow, such a nice finale and conclusion to this era of internet hip-hop. I just appreciate it a lot. Also, not to mention, there are some insanely good verses on this thing, like from Domogenesis and Earl Sweatshirt, for God's sakes, and Frank Ocean with the I'm high and I'm by. This was a goddamn cultural reset. Number 12 is basically the Killers' Runaways, but a little bit less Heartland, a little bit more garage, and for people who like their rock, just a taste more abstract, maybe loud, maybe grating, and that's Japandroid's The House That Heaven Built. This is another song where, for some people, that level of corniness and rock and roll is just a turnoff. I use the same words to describe this thing that I would use to describe Runaways. It is righteous. It is life-affirming. It is rock music that just makes me feel alive and feel happy that I'm alive, and it gives me that rush. And there are so few rock songs in this corny era of rock music that we occupy now, of which Japandroids participated in on their last project and their terrible live album. They just fail to deliver the same level of life-affirming greatness that songs like this do. I love it. I adore it. I don't care what anybody thinks about Japandroids being indie's answer to dad rock. I love this song. And another artist whose reputation may be difficult to skew from their music, especially if you were not around for the release of these projects in 2012. Number 11, Grimes with Oblivion. Now, I know that many publications were quick to call this thing one of the best songs of the entire decade. Generally speaking, I agree. Maybe I don't like it that much, but it is a total banger. And it's a total banger from a time when Claire really was a goofy, quirky, girl next door answer to some of the overproduction that had gogged electronic music in the dubstep and post-dubstep era. So hearing stuff like this whole record, like this incredible song, it is awesome. If you can tolerate Grimes as a person and her antics now, be my guest. I don't want to do that. I wouldn't wish that on anybody. But listening to Oblivion, it reminds me why she had so much built-up understanding for her actions in the first place. Firmly inside the top 10 now, and I'm normally not a person to use vibes as a descriptor of music, particularly good vibes, because that can mean anything, but I don't know how else you describe Sleepless by Flume, other than just saying that it is the pure definition of good vibes in dance and electronic music. It is a song that has never left my summer playlist since I first heard it, because it is just that bright, that infectious, that lovely, that enjoyable, that completely irresistible. And at number 9, while we're on the topic of Odd Future, shouts out Frankie Ocean with Pyramids, a song that nearly matches the lengthy ambitions of Oldie, but also delivers so much more compositional dexterity. The wandering journey that this song takes the listener on is excellent, with refrain after refrain after refrain and instrumental elements one after another that are all so rewarding and working together so well and paying service to this whole narrative of this woman. Compared to Cleopatra, she's working at the pyramids. It really is a great futuristic and experimental R&B odyssey that I highly recommend. And if you didn't like where I put Fun on the last list, you're really gonna hate this, because at number 8, I genuinely have to hand it to Fun with Some Nights, the title track from their Fueled by Ramen album, obviously called Some Nights. And yeah, I think given how much Jack Antonoff has made an ass of himself publicly and on reusing songs with the myriad of girls he produces for, and how Nate Ruess has all but completely disappeared for the spotlight, it could be easy to write a retrospective where you are glossing over how much of an impact Fun made, particularly with their 3 singles, the best of which is this one, Some Nights, a great, great song that sees Nate Ruess detailing the thoughts and actions of someone who is away at war, and it is done with all of the theater kid grade drama that Nate's absolutely astounding voice warrants. I love everything about it. I care not for the reputation that it has garnered in retrospect. I think this is a great fucking song and one of the best songs of the entire year of 2012. Number 7 comes to us from one of the rawest rock records of the year, from Cloud Nothings, and the track is obviously Wasted Days, a song that continues to be a fan favorite. When I saw the band just last year, they played a somehow even longer version of this to close their set. But yeah, this is a long, loud, self-deprecating eruption of angst and noise. It has the essence of punk at its core, but it is just doing so much more to dial it up a notch, to make it hit harder, to make it feel more raw, just doing absolutely everything to make it impactful, and it's working. Similar approach to a very different sound on our number 6 track, Tame Impala with Apocalypse Dreams. I know this is not the song that comes to a lot of people's minds when they think about lonerism. It's probably Feels Like or Elephant, but this has always been my favorite Tame Impala song, and it really just does come down to that composition, the building and building that the song goes on. It makes every single passage more impactful than the last, and it works to make the long musical wanderings of the final 2 minutes of the sound such a cathartic, shimmering release from everything that was put together up to that point. It's just a remarkably enjoyable and fun and bright song, mixed with a lot of the technical ambition and compelling compositional dynamics that we know that Kevin Parker is capable of, because he does it all the time, and he pulls it off in a way that I think very few artists really can. At number 5, Beach House, Myth. No point in talking around it. It's one of their most beautiful songs ever. At points it can be very dark, at points it can be very naturalistic. It is not just wearing one hat, but it is clearly doing everything that makes Beach House so good. The blissful, heavy, beautiful dream pop instrumentation coming together with Victoria's soaring melodies. Completely irresistible combination. Love this song. Absolutely one of the 5 best songs of the year, and maybe you could even make an argument that it should be higher. At number 4, you know I had to do it to him, Lana Del Rey with This Is What Makes Us Girls. However you feel about Lana Del Rey in 2022, there is no denying that Born to Die was a moment, and everything that she did surrounding it collectively comes together to make a moment. And there are a lot of songs you could pick that seem to be big enough to meet that moment, whether it's the title track, video games, or even Summertime Sadness. But for me, the one song that perfectly represents everything that makes this album so irresistible and set Lana off on the career she has had of great record after great record after great record, all those fundamentals and the personality she instills on top of them are apparent on the incredible song This Is What Makes Us Girls. From that whispered bridge that I've used in more Instagram captions than I could even count at this point, to the ever-evolving hook that changes and develops with the meaning of the song and the story being told as it goes on, everything about this is just great from a songwriting standpoint, from a personality standpoint. It is engaging, it is memorable, and Lana is doing everything she needs to, on top of that, to make it unique, personal, and a song that only she could have written and performed, and that's exactly what she does. And it wouldn't be 2012 if we did not talk about a little trio, a little experimental hardcore hip-hop group called Death Grips, and the closing track to their amazing album, The Money Story, the song Hacker. Yeah, this song fucking rules. It's so good. Not only is it a great fusion of sounds from the hip-hop world, and I would even argue from the electronica and hardcore punk worlds, but just the subject matter, just Death Grip's commitment to being a terminally online band is so impressively ahead of its time, and I can't get enough of what they do on this song. I think it's amazing. The refrains are so catchy. It's so full of quotables, one quotable after another, that pretty much all Death Grips fans know and can pair it to each other, and in a sense, that is virality in its purest form. So yes, Hacker, amazing song. Still probably my favorite Death Grip song of all time, and my third favorite song of 2012. I could see this going over poorly, but when push comes to shove, number 2, Kendrick Lamar, Mad City. His album, Good Kid, Mad City, is full of songs that belong on a list like this, counting down the best songs of 2012. But I gotta go with the title track, and for no reason other than I think it is the most intense and the most refined version of Kendrick's blend of intensity and storytelling that shows exactly why he is such a unique artist, why he is so untouchable in his craft, in this field right now. Everything about this song is just excellent, and a, like I said, refined version of Kendrick's sound, the things that only he can do, the narrative and story details he manages to weave into this fiery flow, the dynamic compositional shifts that it goes through, the complete lack of any kind of hook, and yet there are still so many refrains on this song that are completely irresistible. I just love everything about it, and it wasn't, am I gonna pick a Kendrick song? Is it gonna be high on the list? The question was more, which one? And while there's a lot of people who love Money Trees, and there's a lot of critics who love, say, Sing About Me, and even I personally have a soft spot for some songs like Art of Peer Pressure and Poetic Justice, at the end of the day, it's Mad City. And finally, we have arrived at number 1. I'm sure this has already gone on way too long, but if you'll indulge me for just a bit longer, I thought about this a lot. I thought at one point that This Is What Makes Us Girls, or Hacker, or Mad City, or even Apocalypse Dreams might be my song of the year. I gravitated towards all of them. I listened to all these songs probably 50 times, but really it came down to determining what I think the best song of the year has, what it is, what it does, what that criteria even means. And when push came to shove, I think I was overthinking it. It wasn't about necessarily the song that made the biggest splash in a commercial sense. It wasn't the song that was the most surprising, the most aligned with the culture at the time, or in a 10-year retrospective, even the song that was the most ahead of its time, as some of those trends have already come to pass. At the end of the day, it's about which song is the best goddamn song. And while it may feel like a cop-out to even compare a lot of these tracks to this, it was just, there's nothing else like this. And this is the Godspeed You Black Emperor song, We Drift Like Worried Fire. And I think the reason that people will roll their eyes at that comparison is that this is an expansive instrumental post-rock epic. It is basically the principles of classical music being transferred in a sense to the world of post-rock and instrumental music in the way that we're used to from Godspeed You Black Emperor. And comparing something of this stature to just general pop and indie and rap songs can sometimes feel like I'm trying to have the biggest brain in the room. But seriously, it takes more than just being post-rock for post-rock to be good, and there's a reason that Godspeed You Black Emperor have the reputation they have as the best of the best at it. And it's songs like this, even though we're well familiar with the band by this point, their ability to continue to find new ways to surprise, new ways to conjure up emotion with the sounds of instrumentation, it is remarkably compelling. It is incredible. It is so impressive, and I am just continuously in awe of pieces like this, like We Drift Like Worried Fire. So yes, roll your eyes if you want to, but this is my favorite song of 2012. It comes next to a bunch of great songs. Every song on this list is here because I recommend it, because I like it, but at the end of the day, it is in order for a reason, and that reason is to establish that Godspeed You Black Emperor really did some shit with this one. And that's it. That's the Listerino 2012. No idea what I'll be doing when you see me next. I had to scrap an entire episode of Spotlight that I am a little bit disappointed about. I wish that wasn't the case, but when push came to shove, it wasn't going to happen. And I'm starting to work on the next one. Not sure if it'll be that. Maybe some big band will retire or break up or something, and we can do the first discography ranking we've done in ages. But yeah, all things considered, thanks for watching. If you stuck around this far, Jesus Christ, I don't know how long this video is going to be ultimately, but too long is the answer. And if you listen to any of these songs, if you have thoughts, if you have your own favorite songs of 2012, if you can't believe that I didn't talk about blank, whatever blank is, hit me up about blank and I'll listen to it and maybe I'll apologize. I really doubt it, but you never know.